San Francisco's most notable drag queen, Glamazon. Well, she's called a lot of things, but to all of us and to all of her fans, she is known as Pollo Del Mar. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
You know, I got to tell you, I think it is the most unique name, and I can't tell you how many times I've giggled and just thought how wonderful it was and how few people really know the translation. But
Yeah,
there you
thank
go.
you. Actually, just yesterday, somebody who has been a longtime supporter said, "Oh my gosh, I think I just finally figured out what your name means." So, yeah, I appreciate that. And I'm glad that we live in San Francisco where I don't have to be named like, Simone or
Yeah.
I have a friend named Simone, but
So nothing against her, but
nothing about it. But
Yeah.
the places that I came from before, it was like Alexia, whatever. And I
Right,
was just
right.
like,
Well, I
no.
mean, I'm from the South, and that's, drag names there are
course,
kind
iconic,
of
legendary.
and regal and whatnot.
Yeah,
But
I'm not really regal.
But your persona, well, no, you're pretty regal. You said you had the gypsies, tramps, and thieves thing
Yeah,
going
I
on.
do.
Yeah.
I actually describe myself as a gypsy, a tramp, and no longer a thief. I'm
But just a
reformed.
gypsy and tramp, yeah, a reformed thief.
Reformed.
What is the essence of Pollo Del Mar? Because you've had many different looks.
Gosh, yeah,
And many different clothes, and in your new book, actually not so many clothes.
Not clothes at all, actually. I'm on the cover of Left magazine paying homage to Madonna's iconic sex book, and it was the first time I've ever done anything in drag where I knew my mom would be like, I can't see this. So,
Yeah, I mean, we actually had pictures to show, but we couldn't. I think it's
But
the
you
first time
can't
I.
show.
Yeah, I think it's the first time we had censored. So you can now say banned on 10%.
yes, I have been banned by places larger than this and smaller than this, and a lot of places don't invite me to begin with, so not being invited back is comfortable for me. But, the essence of who I think my drag persona is derived from all of those gorgeous bleach blondes that ruled the trailer parks I grew up in, throughout the South. If you imagine the woman who was rolling around on the hood of a Firebird in a Whitesnake video in 1987,
Yeah.
and just had her wake up one day as a size 18, 20W, unaware that things have changed. That's me. That's who I am.
And so that's where you got your inspiration.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So is your drag all entertainment or is it political?
Well, first and foremost, I believe that drag is political by its very nature. I think the fact that we push people's buttons just by we're taping this in broad daylight.
Yeah.
I don't know what time people will be watching this, but I walked out of my house today in a very blue-collar neighborhood of San Francisco in broad daylight at 5 p.m. looking like this. And that is political in its own nature. And the fact that what I choose to deliver in terms of messaging or anything that's beyond that is also tends to be political in nature. But I think that it's politics through entertainment. You make people think and they get to laugh, and I think that for a lot of people really pushes the buttons.
So you think it still takes a lot of balls to be a drag performer?
Absolutely. I think that, we're very fortunate to live in a time, and I'm very fortunate to live in a time where RuPaul's Drag Race has revolutionized drag once again. And drag has been taken from the margins to the mainstream, and I'm not talking the mainstream of society, but I'm talking the mainstream of gay society again. And there's been so many times as we struggled for equality that once again, drag queens, though we are often the most outspoken, we're marginalized again.
Yeah, so you're not in the movie Stonewall, and no one
No.
knew about the Compton riots until, a bunch of people told them about it.
But I go back to 2008, for example, when the state of California was fighting in opposition to Prop 8, which had banned same-sex marriage. And it so happened that a big rally that year was planned as that verdict had been laid down and the votes had been counted. And I decided to go to that event in drag because that's how the community that I've become so part of knows me most readily, especially at that time because that was before the internet and before there were pictures of me circulating out of drag. So that's how they knew me. And at that event, somebody, because they didn't know what to do, somebody handed me a microphone, actually a megaphone, because they recognized me and said, say something, do something. And I did, and I was very passionate about it because it was something that I had been ashamed that I hadn't been more active about before that. And the reason I bring all this up is because there was a tremendous backlash from people within the community saying, like, at this time when we're fighting for our rights, you are the last person that we need speaking out on our behalf. Because
How'd that make you feel?
well, I understood it because it's an internalized homophobia. And it comes from the fact that we do not want to be, as a collective, seen as all drag queens or all this or all naked boys at a circuit party. I get it. I understood what they meant. But at the same time, I don't think that I matter any less than anyone else does.
Right. Do you see part of your persona as connected in a sense to what was done and is still being done with the work of the sisters?
You know, I think that the sisters are completely unique to themselves.
Yes.
And in fact, I was just with one of the sisters earlier today. I love what they do. And when I first moved to San Francisco, had things at that time in 1999 and the early 2000s been a little more organized within the sisters, I probably would have been one. I remember numerous times.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess the reason I asked that question was I was looking at your makeup, and there is a, if you'll excuse me, a sisterish quality about your persona and the sort of work you do. I mean, good work.
I'm sainted by the sisters, and that's wonderful. And
Yeah.
Ironically, when I was speaking to the sister earlier today, I was telling her that because my makeup runs the gamut. I can be glamorous, pageanty, and I can be kind of very avant-garde, depending on what my mood is. In fact, I was debating today if I was going to show up as a stuffed animal or this.
Right, glamazon or a furry. Right,
yeah, and I chose this, obviously. But whenever I do makeup that's not pageant oriented or giving you like real female illusion, I have to be very careful because in this area of the country in particular, if you do too much white on your face and then put colors over top of it, you're automatically thought to be a sister. And so when I do kind of like crazy, outrageous makeup, like some of my favorite sisters do, for example, Flora Goodtime, if you're watching this, she's stunning. If you don't know her, please look her up. And when I do my makeup that's outrageous, I have to make sure that it's based in some kind of skin tone, not a white. Otherwise, people don't know the differentiation.
Right.
I certainly believe that in terms of your original question, the sisters set a tremendous example for all of us of what it means to be active in the community and push forward messages and causes that are important to all of us.
So what are the messages and causes that are important to you?
Oh gosh, I think that right now that trans issues are really on the on the horizon for all of us, and I think that that could sound like really kind of the politically correct thing to say, but I really do believe that it's the next horizon for all of us. We're seeing that in places like North Carolina, where there's tremendous pushback for trans rights to use the restroom. And I don't think that that's really uncommon anywhere else around the country. I think we are so fortunate in San Francisco to live in a bubble. And I didn't recognize what a bubble it was and what kind of work there still is to be done until a number of years ago. I had left directly after doing drag and at a Pride event. So it was obviously June, it was Pride in San Francisco, and I just really quickly washed all my makeup off, and I was driving overnight, the 6 hours to LA, and I stopped to get gas somewhere in like, who knows where, in the middle of nowhere. And I walked into this 24-hour gas station, and I felt suddenly very conspicuous. I saw a reflection of myself in like one of the frosty mirror glass of where I was getting a beverage. And I thought to myself, I'm covered in glitter. I still have remains of eyeliner on. I'm traveling by myself in the middle of nowhere. There is a clear and present danger here.
You felt vulnerable.
Yeah, I did. I felt very vulnerable. And I think that there are so many people who experience that on a daily basis. And I think that at the most marginalized version of that is the trans community, because for them to live and express themselves to the fullest of their own identity as they understand it, they automatically become at risk. And then what happens to those people who do not pass?
Right,
you know what I mean? And there's a tremendous number of people who will never pass, and that's fine because we don't necessarily hold them accountable for their physical presence on the outside, but it's who they are on the inside, I think, that counts.
We've got about a minute left. Talk to me about the sex book.
Yeah.
That's a lot of production went into that.
Yeah, I was very excited.
Your production of you and also the photos.
Right. Well, everything first and foremost, it's you can go to liveleft.com to see those images. It is an homage to the Madonna sex book, and my fans, supporters, and people who appreciate what I do as an art form around the world rallied and petitioned Left magazine to put me on the cover of the May issue. And so when that happened, and then they came to me and said, this is what we want to do, I was ecstatic because Madonna was iconic to me growing up. And my mom would, despite the fact that she can't actually wholeheartedly look at that photo shoot, would account and attest to the fact that Madonna, I had scrapbooks and everything like that. So it was something that was really high concept. I'm super appreciative of them for giving me such an incredible photo shoot.
We've only got a few seconds left, but I have to ask this. Has Madonna seen it? Do you want Madonna seen it?
I would love Madonna to see it. I don't think that she has. I do have her brother Christopher's phone number. Maybe I should text him.
I think so. So that'll be our closing word. We've been speaking to Pollo Del Mar. I'm David Perry. And if you're out there, Chris, Madonna's brother, Pollo has something that I think may even shock your sister. Thanks for watching. I'm David Perry. This is 10%. Good night.